Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. But guys, week 2 of the WBE, the Minnesota Vikavolts are taking on the Maryland Torterrapins and coach UnderTheRadar in an epic week 2 matchup here. For those who don't know, my man Kelly is a tremendous battler. Oftentimes we face off in the playoffs in various leagues, and we've had quite a history in draft league battles, and he did take a loss in his first week, but it was to Uzi and the Bullet Punch Club. And I'll just say, there's no easy games in this league, man. Everyone in this league knows what they're doing, man, and we've got a tough schedule ahead of us. There's no doubt about that. However, we did pick up a nice week 1 win. If you guys want to check out the description below for the playlist or check out all the WBE stuff, you guys can check out our battle from last week. I'm still recovering from being sick from Dallas, Texas, which is a bit unfortunate, but I feel a little bit better, so hopefully we can pick up a W here and keep our win streak going. But we've got a tough team to break down. So I'm going to talk about what my opponent has on his team, and we're going to talk about what I'm bringing to try to counter that. So my opponent has a GIGANTAMAX Lapras. Lapras can often run special sets, which is what most people know it for, and its GIGANTAMAX can set up an Aurora Veil, so without even having the right weather. So that's really scary to keep in mind. But the other thing that we have to be mindful of is Lapras can also run offensive physical sets. So it can actually run Dragon Dance with things like Avalanche and stuff. So I have to be very, very careful about a physical Dragon Dancing Lapras, but the standard one is just like a bulky special one with Aurora Veil. My opponent also has a Dragapult, which is one of the most offensive threats in the game. It can run like a Power Herb with Phantom Force. It can just run like physical or special or mixed. It's got Dragon Darts, which is really annoying, so I can't even run Haban Berries on stuff. And just a very difficult Pokemon to deal with in general. If it gets up a Dragon Dance, it could just obliterate me. So we have to be very careful about that. It's so fast. It outspeeds everything. We've got a Sylveon. Sylveon, which is a very bulky fairy-type Pokemon that can set up Calm Minds. It hits really hard with Pixelate. It gets Mystical Fire now, so the lack of hidden power doesn't really affect it too much. And it just hits very, very hard with those Pixelate Hyper Voices. So we have to be mindful of how we approach that Sylveon, because we have to figure out if it's offensive or defensive pretty early on in the game. Obstagoon is actually a massive threat, dude. It's normal and dark type, and with Guts and Facade, it can just obliterate everything if it rocks the Flame Orb. It's so incredibly hard to switch into, and it's got its Obstruct move, which can lower the defenses of the opponent. So being able to outspeed that thing is going to be crucial for us to be able to take it down. My opponent also has a Roserade, which is a relatively especially offensive and relatively specially bulky grass and poison type Pokemon that can set up Toxic Spikes and Spikes and also spam some pretty cool moves. However, it did get a big nerf to not have the Hidden Power Technician boost, so at least we don't have to worry about that anymore, but it's still a big threat. It does get Weather Ball as well, so it can take advantage of any weathers that are set. Like if the Lapras decides to set rain or something like that, it can be very, very problematic. Surfetched is so scary. In fact, I just look at my team and I realize I have not a single thing to switch into Surfetched outside of maybe Hatterene, and our team is not designed for that this week. So Surfetch'd is very scary. It has the Scrappy ability, so you can't even switch in your Ghost type. So Chandelure is not safe here, guys. Chandelure is not safe against that Surfetch'd. Very scary stuff. Drifblim could be problematic because of Unburden. If he tries to run Electric Seed on it or something to take advantage of Pincurchin, he can definitely do that. So we have to be careful of how we approach that Drifblim, because if it starts to baton passer on stat boosts like stockpiles or anything like that, that could be really scary. He's got Raboot, which cannot be Libero. It has to be Blaze, so not as big of a threat, but Raboot is still kind of an issue. It's a relatively decent fire-type Pokemon. The bigger issue here, though, is the Steelix. Steelix is a massively defensive, physically defensive Steel-type Pokemon that can take a lot of hits, even on the special side, because you can invest into the special side. So we have to work around that Steelix, because that's one of the bigger threats for our team. But I do have a core strategy, and if we can get rid of Steelix, I think we can definitely win this game. And then Heliolisk is just a relatively fast Electric-type Pokemon, normal type as well, so I can switch into those stab ghost moves. So I have to be very careful, because I have my Chandelure, and I can't just lock into Shadow Balls, which are good against my opponent's team otherwise, but my opponent could have that Heliolisk. Now the good news is, when you look at my opponent's team, there's not really anything that wants to switch into fire type moves, so Chandelure does have that going for it. So let's talk about our team, what we're bringing and why we're bringing it. And obviously we had our work cut out for us this week. This is a very difficult matchup. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It is winnable, but I decided to go Hyper Offence was my best way to try to win this game. So let's talk about it. One thing I also want to mention is when I break down my strategy, there are a few things that stop me. I'm very concerned about a Room Service Steelix or an Iron Ball Steelix. Both of those could be really problematic for my team just because of the strategy that I'm running this week. But overall, I do think this is a winnable game. It's just going to be a tough one. Kicking things off, we've got our Lumiere, our Chandelure. It's a Choice Scarf Lumiere with Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Energy Ball, and Memento. This thing generally can just click Flamethrower. It's going to outspeed that Dragapult, which is really nice. So we got that as a revenge killer. There's, like I said, not a ton on his team that wants to switch into Shadow Ball or Flamethrowers. Flamethrower probably a little bit better, again, because of the 2 normal types that we might run into, but that's going to depend on team preview. I've got Memento there as well for potential setup opportunities. You saw me use that on Pincurchin last week. I drafted the team specifically with Memento in mind. I really wanted to try to take advantage of that, so we're going to try to do that as well. I've got Comet here as our second Pokemon. This is a offensive Hitmonchan rocking Close Combat, Ice Punch, Bullet Punch, and Rapid Spin. This thing is rocking the Expert Belt to get a little bit of extra damage off on those super effective hits, and I've got the Bullet Punch there, which allows me to hit the Sylveon relatively effectively. The Rapid Spin's kind of cool too, because if we get a Rapid Spin off, we actually get a speed boost as well. We can hit really, really hard with Close Combat. We can hit really hard with Ice Punch as well on some of the threats like the Surfetch and the Dragapult, so that's really cool. And we've got the Expert Belt there to boost some of our attacks up as well. So just, you know, standard offensive Hitmonchan. Again, we got to deal with that Steelix. So our next pick is going to be James Pond here, our Inteleon. Inteleon is a very fast Pokemon that can hit really hard on the special attack side. So we're going to run a Life Orb this week with Surf, Ice Beam, Sucker Punch, and Haze. You can pretty much understand what the set is for, but Surf is there to hit things like Steelix and just be offensive, obviously stab. We've got Ice Beam there for a lot of things, Dragapult, Surfetch, just hitting the Sylveon and stuff like that. Sucker Punch, of course, there for the Dragapult as well, so we can hopefully catch that thing off guard. We have the Life Orb, and we have a Naive Nature, so we're not losing out on any power there. And then I've got Haze. Haze seems like a pretty strange move, but when I'm dealing with things like Iron Defense Steelix and potential Calm Mining Sylveon, which can just beat me, Haze actually could save me the game in that situation, so it's kind of like a emergency button if I need it. I'd love to fit Ice Shard or U-Turn on there, but I just feel like Haze is the safer bet for us, so we're going to rock with that. The next Pokemon we're going to be bringing this week is going to be Skyline. Skyline is Skyline is rocking that Heavy Metal with the Assault Vest. It's got Flash Cannon, Steel Beam, Thunder, and Brick Break. Thunder is a big YOLO move, but if it hits, it's going to be really, really strong against things like Lapras. We've got the Brick Break there as well to help us with that potential Aurora Veil that the Lapras can set. And then Flash Cannon and Steel Beam dents everything on my opponent's team. The one thing that doesn't mind switching in would be the Steelix, but even Steelix takes a lot from Flash Cannon and Steel Beam unless he's fully specially defensive and has investment, right? He has to be really, really specially bulky with leftovers to be able to take those hits. And really for us, it's about just weakening the Steelix. We don't even have to knock it out. We just have to weaken it to allow ourselves to win this game. Our next Pokemon is going to be Fritter. Fritter also rocking the Life Orb. There's no item clause in this league in case anyone was wondering. But we've got the Grab Apple, Wing Attack, Dragon Dance, and Sucker Punch. We're running Wing Attack over Acrobatics because we're not going to be losing our item, hopefully. The Life Orb gives us a boost while we're Dynamax as well, or Gigantamax, which is very cool. A lot of people were confused last week. The only Pokemon that can max in this league is the Gigantamax pick. So my only max Pokemon is Flapple, just as my opponent's only max Pokemon is Lapras. So a lot of people were very confused last week when I did not Dynamax my Rhydon at the end of the game. That's why, because I couldn't. Sucker Punch there for the Dragapult, and ironically enough, Flapple in some ways is actually better when it doesn't Dynamax. I actually need to get 2 Dragon Dances off to outspeed the Dragapult, but I could get a Dragon Dance off and a max Airstream, which is why we're running Wing Attack, because we can hit things like the Surfetch and the Roserade and stuff like that really hard with that. We've got the Grab Apple, which is going to obliterate anything else, and then again, Sucker Punch, the Dark type stab is there for things like the Dragapult. So we've got a lot of coverage on this thing. This thing can definitely put in some work if we give it a good shot to do so. And then last but not least is going to be Bellatrix here, our Hatterene. Hatterene is a Trick Room set. This is another Life Orb user. I guess I'm running 3 Life Orb users this week, but this thing is designed to just set up Trick Room and then win the game. That's the hope. If I can weaken the Steelix and remove its Sturdy or its Aquaberry if it has one, if I can chip down a couple other things on his team, he does not have a single switch into Hatterene. Like, legitimately, look across his team. With a little bit of chip on things, maybe Sylveon being the exception, we one-shot and everything on his team, dude. Like, legitimately, we can one-shot a weekend Lapras if it's already maxed. We can one-shot the Dragapult with Dazzling Gleam, the Sylveon, Dazzling Alpsagoon, Psyshock on the Roserade. You can see going down the list that we can really, really, like, wreck through my opponent's team as long as I can get rid of the, weaken the Lapras a little bit and then potentially weaken the Steelix and keep that thing. So that's where, like, the super offensive Assault Vesting Duraludon kind of comes in, and you can see the strategy in the team. It's really just dent things, get Hatterene in, maybe after a Memento from Chandelure, or just, you know, on something a little weaker, get that Trick Room up, and then hopefully win the game from there. So that is our strategy. Whether it's going to work or not, as I almost dropped my controller, whether it's going to work or not is to be determined. But we're going to jump into the battle here. We're going to find out and hopefully pick up our week 2 win. This is going to be a tough match. It's going to be hyper offensive, but it should be a thrilling one for you guys to watch. So I hope you guys are excited. Like the video, subscribe if you guys are new, and I'll see you guys on the next video, which is going to be our battle. So tune in. I'll see you guys there. Peace.
Butterfree, go!